And in the last 12 months, Alasdair enjoyed a trip to Lausanne. That was back in October, and that was his scholarship last year, courtesy of HIT. Will you please put your hands together and welcome Alasdair to the stage.
Thank you very much. I'm not quite too sure how I can follow that one. Good afternoon, everybody. My name's Alasdair Mackay. I'm the Operations Manager at the Royal Terrace Hotel here in Edinburgh. I know exactly why you're all here, because this time last year I was sitting exactly where you are, waiting in anticipation to hear if I was going to be lucky enough to win anything. So I was delighted and very grateful when I had received a scholarship to go and study in the Hotel École in Lausanne. My fellow scholars came from all hotels and restaurants from around Scotland, including Glen Eagles, Malmaison and Inverlochy Castle. It was great to share stories and be with people who were on exactly the same wavelength as me and who deal with different situations within the hospitality industry. I want to split today up into three main topics, really my insights of what I had learned. They're going to be manager versus leader, task-focused versus customer-focused, and listening to yourself and your customer. We received an absolutely fantastic welcome to the school, in awe of its sheer size and scale. Huge training restaurants, training kitchens, and trendy coffee bars. All the students fully dressed in their suits, laptops, etc., completely different from when I was a student. Everything ran exactly as it should be, on Swiss time. The hospitality and service was slick and effortless. In fact, what you can see on the screen now, it takes great effort to be effortless. This phrase was written all the way through our notebooks, and it was really, really inspiring. This is typical of the school's way of learning, because the students aren't just being trained to become managers, they're actually being trained right from the start to become leaders. The classroom learning began with the phrase, "What am I bringing today?" This caused all of us to really properly look at ourselves and think, what do we actually achieve of a day in work? When you're in the workplace, it can become very easy to get bogged down with all the day-to-day things. And sometimes, if you just sit down at the end of the day and say, well, what have I actually done? And weigh up for yourself, it can help you achieve more tasks. So the first section, manager versus leader, what we tried to do is distinguish the difference between a manager and a leader. This may sound easy, but it's actually quite a difficult task. But we broke it down into the following sections. We felt that a manager directs and guides staff to achieve goals and plans and organizes, whereas a leader influences the behavior of people with an emphasis on interpersonal behavior and is associated with willing and enthusiastic followers. We said, what are we? Are we a manager? Are we a leader? Some of us weren't too sure. Maybe a few of us were actually in the middle. What we began to think, though, was, is it easier to be a leader than a manager? Because you don't need to be so concerned with all the tasks that you have to achieve. The main difference we really found is that a leader does not belong to the organization. Their identity does not depend on belonging to the team. In a nutshell, a manager does things right, and a leader does the right thing. The second point that I wanted to discuss was to identify whether we're more task-focused or customer-focused. I would have hoped that being in the hospitality industry, that 100% of us would be customer-focused. However, this wasn't becoming the obvious answer. As homework, yes, homework, in Switzerland, we had to do a SWOT analysis of ourselves. This highlighted our strengths, our weaknesses, our opportunities, and threats. It's really quite difficult if you actually write down your weaknesses on paper. because it highlights it and brings it to life. What were our weaknesses? What were our fears? Were we scared of the unknown? Did we want to develop ourselves, or were we happy just plodding along in our own work? What this caused us to do was look at ourselves with a magnifying glass, inside and out, and really break down what makes us. By highlighting our strengths and weaknesses, this enabled us to give feedback to our colleagues. We looked at the feedback not in a critical way, but more in a positive way. And that feedback turned into the objectives that we wanted to put into place for ourselves when we returned back to our hotels. So what we decided was feedback equals opportunity. If we've got an opportunity, it's empowering ourselves, but at the end of the day, the main person who's going to benefit is our guest. Section 3 was listen to yourself and your customer. Stop, listen, think. Stop, listen, think. Listen to your amygdala. Your amag what? We all replied. What is the amygdala, you may ask? The amygdala is an almond-sized and shaped part of your brain structure. The amygdala does a quick threat assessment. The amygdala blocks and can stop thinking. Time enables it to process properly. So all we're actually needing to do is stop and listen and think before we answer. It may sound really obvious, but I urge you all to give it a try. And by stopping and thinking about what we're going to say, we actually found out that we came out with a completely different answer than we perhaps would have done if we answered the question immediately. We were then asked to write down our top 10 achievements. Again, quite a daunting task. We're not really good at recognizing and rewarding ourselves when we've done something well. We had to deliver this to the team and again feedback on our body language and posture. This enabled us, for a change, to celebrate our achievements. And we actually realized that it's okay to reward yourself. So we did. I rewarded myself with a huge box of chocolates, and I've continued to do so, because our lecturer said. The other thing we also gained from it was, it's okay to hibernate sometimes. We can't all be on the go 24/7. And sometimes you just need that 5 minutes locked away in your own space to reflect and see what the next section is going to bring. What value am I bringing today? Still trying to answer that question. Well, with a mixture of all the learning we had, our daily objectives saw us to see a bigger picture. And the journey of self-belief actually gave us the tools and knowledge to empower ourselves and others. If I was to sum everything up in one sentence, and it took me quite a long time to think about what it would be, this is exactly what I came up with. Language creates the world between you and your customer. I hope this has sparked a few questions for yourself, and good luck with your scholarships this afternoon. Thank you.